You listen closely to the argument. It is intended to give you a guide as to what they believe the evidence will show. Ms. Pinnell, whenever you're ready.
Good morning. December of 2019 started out like every other December for the Todt family. The evidence will show that at some point in the middle of December, the extended family of the Todts began to get worried. And you're going to hear a call made by the defendant's sister, Chrissy Caplet, and she calls the sheriff's office asking for somebody to go and check on the well-being of the defendant and the rest of his family. You're going to hear that the sheriff's office went out to 202 Reserve Place in Celebration multiple times. They also went to 211 Longview Avenue and checked the condo multiple times to no avail. You're going to hear from the evidence that on January 13th of 2020, law enforcement finally made contact with the defendant. They made contact with the defendant at 202 Reserve Place in Celebration. You're going to hear testimony that when law enforcement officers entered the home, they immediately noticed an odor that was familiar to them. They immediately noticed an odor of decomposition. And law enforcement made contact with the defendant, who advised them that his wife Megan Todt was upstairs sleeping. He advised law enforcement that his daughter Zoe Todt was maybe in the garage. And you're going to hear from the law enforcement officers that went into the master bedroom in that second story of that home and located Megan Todt, Zoe Todt, Alexander Todt, and Tyler Todt, all deceased. They also located the dog Breezy, also deceased. And it was obvious to law enforcement, you're going to hear from them, that they had been deceased for quite some time. You're also going to have an opportunity to hear from Detective Cole Miller. Detective Cole Miller was assigned as the lead detective in this case. He responded to 202 Reserve Place for a period of time. He attended the autopsies in this case. He also had the opportunity to speak with the defendant. Detective Cole Miller spoke with the defendant on January 13th, the day that he initially came in contact with law enforcement. And he also spoke with the defendant on January 15th, a couple days later. You're going to have an opportunity to hear the defendant and Detective Cole Miller's conversation. And you're going to be informed by the defendant in his interview that he is the one that took the lives of Megan Todt, Alexander Todt, Tyler Todt, and Zoe Todt. You're going to have an opportunity to hear that the defendant, sometime between December 14th of 2019 and Christmas in 2019, went into Zoe Todt's room while she was asleep, and he took the time to sit with her, and then he rolled over on top of her until she suffocated. Next, he went to Alexander Todt's room that was also upstairs. You're gonna hear information, and you're gonna also see photographs that show that Alexander Todt and Tyler Todt shared a room. Alexander Todt was older. He's the oldest child. And he was sleeping upstairs. Tyler Todt, at the time of his death, was downstairs. You're going to hear that the defendant told Detective Miller that he went next to Alexander Todt and he suffocated Alexander Todt, and he also stabbed Alexander Todt in his abdomen. And the evidence will show that after Alexander Todt was dead, he went downstairs to Tyler Todt, who was sleeping on a sofa bed in the playroom. And you're going to hear that the defendant was more concerned about Tyler Todt because Tyler Todt was the fastest. He was afraid that if something didn't go the way that he wanted, Tyler Todt would escape. The evidence will show that he did the same thing to Tyler Todt that he did to Alexander Todt. He suffocated Tyler Todt, and he also stabbed Tyler Todt in the abdomen. The defendant is also, in his interview, talks about Megan Todt. And the defendant in his interview says that Megan Todt and himself had an agreement that everybody needed to die in order to pass over to the other side together because the apocalypse was coming. And you'll hear that in the defendant's interview. So the defendant says that Megan Todt, she ended up having 2 stab wounds to her abdomen as well, and you'll hear that from the medical examiner. The defendant told law enforcement that Megan did that to herself. And as best as she tried, that didn't work. And so the defendant took a pillow and suffocated Megan Todt as well. And you're going to hear right before he suffocated and took the life of Megan Todt that he also suffocated Breezy the dog. And then the defendant says that after everybody was dead, he took all of their bodies and placed them all into the master bedroom. The photos that you will see in this case show 2 twin beds on the floor in the master bedroom where Tyler Todt and Alexander Todt were located. There's a bed in the master bedroom, either a queen or a king-size bed, a pretty large bed. Megan Todt was found in that bed, as well as Zoe Todt. Breezy the dog was found on the floor on a dog bed. And all of this was in the master bedroom. The evidence will also show that the defendant, since the date of their deaths until January 13th of 2020 when he was found by law enforcement, stayed in the room as well. And the evidence will show after you have an opportunity to hear everything, the state's confident, you're going to return verdicts of guilty in this case. Thank you.
Okay, and how can we help you?
I'm wondering if somebody can do a wellness check on my brother and his family. They've been really sick for probably like the past week and a half, and I can't seem to get a hold of them.
Okay, give me just a moment. And let me see, I think you said 202 Reserve Place, that's your address?
202 Reserve Place in Celebration.
Okay.
I'm calling from Connecticut, so I mean, obviously there's no way for me to easily check. He doesn't have any other family down there.
Give me one moment, please. All right. When was the last time you heard from them, ma'am?
The last time I physically talked to him was on, last time I physically talked to him was either Monday or Tuesday, and he was texting my sisters and I up until Thursday. Was supposed to call us between yesterday and today, and we haven't been able to get a hold of him. I can't get a hold of him, my sister-in-law, or even my nephew.
Okay, what is your name?
My name is Chrissy. Chrissy. Last name is Caplet, CAP as in Peter, LET as in Tom.
And you're going to have 860-235-6230. Would that be a cell phone or is that a landline?
Nope, that is my cell phone.
Now, that address, is that an apartment or is that a house?
He's renting a house.
Okay. All right. And what are their names?
My brother's name is Tony. My sister-in-law's name is Megan. And then there's three kids. They're Alex.
What is the last name for
Tyler.
Tony?
Oh, I'm sorry. Todt. T-O-D as in David, T as in Tom.
So T-O-D-T?
Yes.
Okay, but how old he is approximately?
How old is he? He's 44.
Okay, do you have a cell phone number or phone number for him?
I do. He's not, his phone, I think it's turned off. His number, is 860-884-0752.
Do you know what kind of vehicle he drives?
No, my sister-in-law has a red, it's a red van. I think it's a Chrysler. But he flies down, because he lives up here during the week and he flies down for the weekend, so he usually has, I think he's got a rental when he goes down there.
Okay, what is your sister-in-law's name?
My sister-in-law's name is Megan Todt.
And do you have a phone number for her?
She's 860-917-6465.
Okay, and who else lives there in the house?
It's my two nephews and my niece. Alec, A-L-E-K, is 13.
Okay. And your niece?
Tyler is...
Oh, so you have two nephews and one niece?
Two nephews and one niece.
Oh.
Alec Todt is Tyler, T-Y-L-E-R. He is 10.
Uh-huh.
And my niece, Zoe, is 4.5.
Okay. You said they were sick or something like that you mentioned at the beginning?
Yeah, they've been really sick. I guess they've had the flu. But they've had the flu probably for a couple weeks. They were really down and out during Christmas. The only one we've been able to talk to is my brother. And now, like I said, we can't get hold of any of them. We heard from him, I think it was, last time, like I said, I heard from him was Thursday. And he was supposed to call us He was supposed to check in with us yesterday, and then he was, because they were doing their Christmas yesterday, supposedly, and then he was supposed to call us today. And none of my sisters or my mother has heard from him, and we can't get a hold of him.
Okay. All right, we're going to have somebody come over. Then when the deputies get there, they're going to call you from the block a private number to let you know the outcome, okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
It is my pleasure. Have a good night, ma'am.
When did you go and attempt to make contact?
I believe, yes, it would be January the 2nd. I attempted at both locations, and January the 7th.
At either of the locations, did you get a response?
I did not.
Did you knock on the door?
Yes, I did.
The last time that we had the, and like I said, I called down on the 29th, the police did go, they checked with the neighbors, and the neighbors said that nobody had been there. I had been messaging some of the neighbors, but it's just really strange. Yeah. And I actually spoke with one of the agents up here, and he even recommended to call back down there and see if we can have another wellness check. Okay, all right, I have a call. I'm looking for somebody out there, okay? Okay, thank you. And you said it was 860-235-6230 is your phone number? Yes. Okay, if somebody calls you, it's going to come in and is that'd be a good thing to get your name. Complainant is, what's your first name? Chrissy, C-H-R-I-S-S-Y. Last name is Caplet, C-A-T as in Peter, L-E-T as in Tom. And yes, I know it'll come in restricted. That's great. All right, perfect. All right, someone will call you, okay? Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good. Delivered.
Tony, you coming downstairs?
Alright. Everything on left. Thank you. Reserved place. Reference goal.
Tony, you upstairs? Hey, come downstairs, bud. Alright. Okay, take your time. Help? Everything's alright, man. Stay calm. We're gonna check this. Goes to the kitchen. Or whatever it is. Children, you?
Keep coming down. Yeah. Like 7-7.
his wife's at? What's up? Oh, you good? You got any weapons on you? Alright. Any needles? No, I have something like that. Okay. What's your wife's name?
Megan.
Has anyone heard her talk? Megan?
Megan.
Alright, come on down, buddy. Alright? Stay control. Yep. Alright, just sit. Have a seat. You good? I got you. Just have a seat.
Megan.
Face forward for me, alright? Put your hands forward too, alright?
Megan?
Yeah, lock door.
Megan?
Been 7.
What's that?
Sorry.
Alright, just stay still on it. Hang tight.
One 24-011. AB 51 over here. I believe we got 2 single 7.
Alright, hang tight. You want me to get a chair for you to sit down in? What's that?
Hey, can you run out there and grab some gloves?
We got it.
We still can't find a daughter.
What?
Where's Zoe?
I haven't seen her. She went with you. Oh, no, I didn't see her. I was sleeping. She was in here. I didn't see anything. You think I'll have to check the garage. The garage.
Did the defendant say anything about the rest of his family?
Yes, he did.
What did the defendant say to you?
We had asked the defendant where his spouse, Megan, was, and the defendant responded that she was sleeping. And when the defendant said that, he looked up towards the bedroom that when you got to the top of the stairs was on the far right side of the second floor. And within a couple of seconds after notifying us that she was asleep, then shouted for her by saying Megan.
Did anybody respond?
No, ma'am.
Did you ever come into contact with any of the defendant's children?
Prior to this? Or,
On January 13th, did you come into contact with any of the defendant's children?
yes, ma'am.
Where?
In that bedroom that I had just referenced on the far right side, up on the second floor.
What was their condition?
The bodies were discolored black and blue. They were sitting, there were 2 boys sitting on top of I believe a mattress on the floor. It almost looked like their feet or some of their flesh may have been falling off of the body or decomposing at that point.
Was anybody else alive in the house except for Anthony Todt?
No, ma'am.
Did you hear the defendant say anything prior to the children being discovered, did you hear the defendant say anything about where his children were?
I don't recall him saying anything about the location of the children prior to discovering them.
What about after?
Yeah, afterwards, when we went into the bedroom, it looked like the two boys on the floor were very obviously seen right when you walked in, as well as what appeared to be Megan in the bed, but we could not identify where his daughter was, and we had known that there were 3 children that we were that were expected to be at the residence. So we asked where the location of his daughter was.
What did the defendant say?
He said something regarding her being asleep, and he may have referenced being at a sleepover. I can't recall the exact wording, I'm sorry.
Anywhere you want it.